Peace, YouTube. Kareem Samdi back again with another video. Alright, so this video is going to be about trusting yourself and trusting your intuition, trusting who you are, really. This is a bigger topic than a lot of people know and think about because we've actually been taught to rely on our logic, rely on our reasoning, and rely on what we've been taught and how to process things, through the intellect to navigate through life. And when it comes to becoming the best versions of ourselves, becoming the gods that we are within, right? The gods that we are created in the image of, we have to actually realize and recognize parts of ourselves that we've been suppressing. And a lot of the times, we are scared of our own success. And I say this because the reason why we are scared of our own success is because our success is greater than the ego can actually handle. The ego, it becomes very comfortable, with limiting factors. The ego likes to feel small. It likes to feel like a victim, and it likes to feel like it's not in control. The ego thrives off of blaming. It thrives off of victimhood. It thrives off of wanting but not being. It thrives off of living in the future and living in the past, but never in the present moment. Your ego is in a state of constant need, a state of constant wanting, because it truly isn't anything. And that's the persona that we've been carrying around with ourselves for a long time. So, all those dreams, all those aspirations that you actually have, they're there because energy cannot be created or destroyed. So everything that you could ever possibly become, every path that you want to take is actually right there for you. But you can't see it yet if you're still functioning off of your learned behaviors, functioning off of your learned mindsets. And this is partially not just because of the way that our parents taught us, but it's also because of how we were taught in school, not necessarily what we were taught, because most people don't remember what they were taught in school, minus the largest things. But when it came to how we learned, because when we were first born, we just came from source, right? So we had already known everything. Children, they're very more spiritually advanced than many adults are because they're not necessarily functioning off of any prior programming. It's the programming that comes when they enter public school that alters the natural way that we actually do things. This is why children are actually the best teachers when it comes to spirituality, simply because of the fact that they don't have as many blockages and barriers preventing their manifestation, blocking their intuition, blocking their imagination as many adults do. So trusting who you are inside, right? What does that really mean? What really is intuition, right? Intuition is that feeling that you get where you know things, or you know what you're supposed to do. It is something that emanates from the heart. It's not something that is necessarily deductive. Intuition functions primarily off of something subconscious within you. It's not conscious in the way that your thinking mind is. Your thinking mind needs to reason. It needs to problem solve, right? Whereas the intuition, it knows. The intuition is that hunch that you get. It's being in tune with your higher self, in a sense. Being in tune with your subconscious, because the subconscious knows all. The subconscious sees past, present, and future all in the version of the now. So if you can just tap into that, then you will know the answers to all your questions. You will be able to become the God that you're supposed to become. You will be able to be the best version of yourself. Achieve all the dreams that you desire. You can be successful. You can be financially free tomorrow, as long as you learn how to tap into the subconscious mind, control it, and use it to your advantage in this matrix. So how do you do this? Well, it first starts with actually knowing yourself first. You want it to learn about trusting yourself. You have to really remove those blockages. And there's two different paths that that I've taken specifically and that I'm still always walking, because there's always going to be new things, right? Two paths that you're going to take on the spiritual journey to regain control over yourself. First, you need to regain control over the emotional body in the form of the chakras. All 7 chakras are very key in knowing yourself, because it is your emotional body. So everything emotional that happens to you on different levels is it's stored in the emotional body. The emotional body memorizes these things and uses them as programs to either elevate your consciousness or bind your consciousness until you heal from whatever happened to you, and then elevate your consciousness later on. And the second path that you'll be walking on this journey, to become the best version of yourself, is really learning how to control your mind. And when I say control your mind, it's not just your conscious mind, your thoughts, because thoughts are always going to run rampant. Thoughts are always going in essence, thoughts can hold you back until you begin to regain control of the conscious mind too. But what I'm talking about is the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind only learns in 3 different ways. It learns through trauma, it learns through repetition, and it learns through symbols. And when you begin to actually understand, the inner workings of the subconscious mind, that's when you can actually begin to control your reality. And controlling your reality works in tandem with first understanding and controlling your emotional body. Healing from the things that might have happened to you in the past. Letting go of limiting thought processes, letting go of limiting beliefs, limiting behaviors. We've actually fallen so far into a habit of being essentially the most separate part of ourselves, and the nature of suffering is being separate from the divine. It's being separate from the God within or the God outside of you, if that's what you believe in. That's that is essentially what creates the suffering, creates the ignorance that we live in, or the appearance of ignorance. But you'll hear me say a lot that I know that not just not only do we know all. We know the answers to all of our problems, actually. It's just a matter of acceptance, I would say. So if you fail to accept, or if you fear growth, if you fear change, then you will be in confusion and ignorance forever. But we do actually know all the answers to our problems. And so the biggest blockage that occurs is that we like to limit ourselves through fear in general. Fear will always limit your spiritual growth. And the reason why is because, just like I said before, the ego thrives off of feeling comfortable because it fears change. If the ego knows that you're going to spiritually evolve and transform, it knows that its death is imminent, because the ego is not going where your higher self is going. It's not going where your spirit's going. The ego doesn't have anything to exist off of other than attaching to things that serve you no purpose other than keeping it alive. And so it'll latch on to anything to survive. It'll latch on to, just in general, you wanting to become something, you wanting to be something. It'll latch onto that, and it'll keep it as far away from you as possible, because it knows that if you keep wanting that, you'll actually keep feeding it. So the only way to really bypass that is to actually break the habit of being yourself. And only in doing that can you actually change your reality. Breaking the habit of being yourself means that you have to think greater than your environment. And I've mentioned this book before. It's by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And in that book, he talks about just exactly how we'll start off, with good intentions, right? Being who we are, going through things that we go through. But we'll sacrifice things along the way, and then we'll just begin to become comfortable with it. Everything that you do, everything that you go through, your thought process is everything. You have to become conscious of this stuff. And this is why I always recommend not just meditation, but you should keep a journal, not just for your thoughts, but also your emotions. Be cognizant, be conscious of every part of your life, honestly, because if you're not, whenever something unfavorable happens, or if you're in an unfavorable position in your life, it'll be very easy for you to fall back into not just victimhood and blaming others, but also feeling like you have no power to change anything. And this leads to a disconnect between you and your intuition, you and your higher power, you and your higher knowledge. You actually have it all within. And the reason why I say this is because if you had been conscious of what led you to the point that you're in right now, then you would have taken the steps and doing everything differently to bring you somewhere else that's more favorable to you. So the way you get past this is that you have to actually begin to think greater than your environment, be greater than your environment, act greater than your environment. So first thing you want to do is you want to get into a position to at least become conscious of where you are in your life. So you could do this through meditation. Just become conscious of where you are in whatever way possible. So you can, if you keep up with your journals, you'll actually be able to really pinpoint, what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you have to be completely honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself along the way, you just be creating more blockages for yourself within your chakras. So be conscious of everything that you do, everywhere that you're at in your life. What position are you at in your life? And if it's not favorable to you, you have to do something different. If you're not doing the work, I'm sorry, it's not going to work for you. You have to actually be able to recognize where you're at and recognize where you want to go. So visualize in your meditation where you want to go. Write down in your affirmation journal where you want to go. And then begin to live that every single day. You have to live the you that you want to create every single day. So if the you that you want to create is a singer, right, and you're not singing every day, you're not at least writing a song every day, you're not performing every day, whether it's for yourself or, in whatever other capacity, then you really don't want to be a singer. And that's what your subconscious mind is going to take. It takes that symbol, the symbol of you not doing what you know you're supposed to do, and it creates that reality for you. And then your ego will make up every excuse to make it seem like it's not your fault. And because if you actually begin to realize that it's your fault, then you'll begin to change. So this is why I recommend keeping a journal, because if you keep a journal, your ego won't argue with you. Your ego, it won't go into blame mode. You'll actually be able to recognize. And a lot of times, sometimes it takes really being honest with ourselves to actually be able to realize what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So to become who you want to become, you have to let go, not just of your laziness, honestly, but you have to let go of your excuses, because no one gives a fuck about your excuses but you. And actually it's not even really you, it's just your ego. So let go of the excuses that you make for yourself and just do what you need to do. And that'll get you where you need to get. And essentially it's really just telling you, be consistent. That's really the key here. You have to be consistent in whatever you want to do to become, what you're supposed to be. And as I've said in the dream video too, your subconscious mind, it shows you the answers of what you're supposed to be doing every single day, because that's your higher self, or that's God speaking back to you. So the minute you begin to listen to that voice and do the things that you're supposed to do, if you want to write a book, you have to write that book every single day. I'm writing my books every single day. And I'm also an artist, and I'm working on a manga. I'm drawing every single day. Those are the things that if you do those things every single day, your subconscious mind, it begins to create a reality for you that reinforces that actually gives you more access to that. What you feed the mind is what you become. So if you're not feeding your mind, or if you're not in places even that feed that part of you, and you're not spending more time in those places, you actually begin to degrade, and that's why you'll end up with a lot of emotional problems and a lot of, disconnect. To really connect with that part of yourself, you have to accept that you are where you are because you chose to walk a different path, and it's all your choice. If you're not a millionaire right now, it's your choice. If you're not a singer right now and you want to be a singer, it's still your choice. You chose to get to be there no matter what the situation is. It's all a choice. And you can play the blame game all you want. You can blame how you were raised, you can blame the government, you can blame just how like the class system, finances, everything. You can blame anything, and you can go on and on and on and on. But at the end of the day, that's still not going to do it for you. That's still not going to create the reality for you. And actually, a YouTuber named Steph is Cold, he always says, if you complain, you will stay the same. And that's true, because complaining is something that the ego does, and the ego only wants to stay the same. Instead of complaining, you want to get into the habit of creating. You want to get in the habit of creating that new you, that you want to be every day, that new you that you dream of every day. You have to be that person every single day. That's it. And only then will you actually begin to really connect with that part of yourself, that intuition. And your dreams, they won't be dreams anymore. They won't be fantasies anymore. They'll be reality. You ever realize how, the more you keep doing certain things, the more your life begins to reinforce that same old lifestyle? So if you're tired of that lifestyle, you have to get out of that. You have to do something different. You have to do what you're supposed to do every day. And I can only say this until I'm blue in the face, over and over again. But really, really take in what I'm saying, because that's really the key. Not just out of the matrix that you've created for yourself, but also to your freedom in general. To being who you're supposed to be every day. You actually have it within you. But you have to let go of the excuses first. Then let go of the emotional issues. Then let go of the mental issues. And really get in tune with that. And some of these things don't even require meditation. It just requires you to do the work. If you're not doing the work, you're not going to get anywhere. So take the steps now, because you can. And really, really just trusting yourself, believing yourself. What else do you have? What do you really have to lose? You have to ask yourself these things. What do you actually have to lose in life? Because if you don't take these steps, right, you want to play it safe. You're going to die playing it safe. And then you'll probably be on your way back here doing it all over again until you get it. Maybe your lesson is to figure out just what I told you. It could be anything, because we're all here for a lesson. Earth isn't just a prison. Earth is also a school. So you're here to learn self. So in the study of self, you also have to learn what limits self. What disconnects you from self. And the disconnection from self is ego. So that's the video for today. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and a comment and let me know your thoughts. And I really hope it inspired everybody who watched this video. Peace.